Trump's Caribbean war just exploded into international outrage. And this time, the world is watching. Because when Donald Trump orders a military strike that kills a Colombian fisherman, and then calls the president of Colombia a drug trafficker for daring to question it, that's not leadership. That's recklessness. That's chaos disguised as strength. And it's putting American credibility and innocent lives at risk. This is not a drill. Here's what happened. A U.S. strike, ordered under Trump's war on narco-terror, hit a small fishing vessel near Venezuelan waters. Washington claimed it was a drug-smuggling boat tied to terrorists. But Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, says that's a lie. He says the man killed was no trafficker, he was a fisherman. A humble worker from Santa Marta, a father, a husband. A man whose only crime was being in the wrong place when Trump wanted another victory headline. Petro posted the photo. The boat wasn't armed. The man wasn't a criminal. And Trump? He didn't pause. He didn't investigate. He exploded. He called Petro an illegal drug trafficker. He cut off anti-narcotics aid to one of America's key allies. And then, he threatened to bomb Colombian territory if Petro didn't close up the killing fields. Let that sink in. Donald Trump, the same man who called dictators strong leaders, who praised Kim Jong-un, who said he fell in love with autocrats, is now threatening to strike a democratic ally in Latin America. And for what? To prove he's tough? To distract from the backlash to his foreign blunders? Or to flex military muscle on the world stage while democracy burns at home? Because make no mistake that this isn't about drugs. It's about power. It's about control. It's about a man addicted to dominance who's willing to use American weapons to feed his ego. Trump's Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, yes, the Fox News talking head turned Pentagon mouthpiece, insists the intelligence is conclusive. But when asked to show proof, nothing. No photos of narcotics. No names of the supposed terrorists. Just recycled talking points about narco-trafficking routes and saving lives. Sound familiar? It should. We've heard this before. In Iraq, in Libya, in every conflict where truth was optional and propaganda was patriotic. They say the strikes were lawful. They say they were precise. They say it's all about stopping drugs that could kill 50,000 Americans. But here's what they don't say. Who verified the target? What intelligence source confirmed the claim? What international law justifies killing a fisherman in international waters? They won't say because they can't. Even members of Congress are demanding answers. Representative Adam Smith, the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, just called out Trump directly. He says this administration has failed to demonstrate the legality of these strikes, or provide transparency on the process. Translation: Trump is launching secret military attacks without proof, without oversight, and without accountability. That's not strength. That's tyranny. And it's getting worse. Over the weekend, another strike. Another so-called narco boat. 3 more people dead. No names, no evidence. Just Trump's voice booming across social media, bragging that he saved tens of thousands of lives. But think about what he's really saying. He's telling the world that killing unknown people in foreign waters, without due process, without confirmation, without even identifying them, is heroic. That's the language of authoritarianism. That's how leaders like Putin and Duterte justify their crimes. And now Trump's doing it too, with the full backing of a White House spokesperson who says, "We've been more transparent than Obama." More transparent? By showing grainy video clips and calling it justice? By hiding behind classified intelligence and Fox News soundbites? That's not transparency. That's deception. That's propaganda wrapped in a flag. And the irony? Trump's war on narco-terror could destroy the very partnership America needs to actually fight the drug trade. Colombia isn't just a neighbor. It's one of the most critical allies in the region. For decades, the U.S. has worked hand-in-hand with Colombian officials, soldiers, and families to curb trafficking. That cooperation has saved lives on both sides. Now Trump is torching it. Why? Because Petro dared to question him. Because Petro stood up and said, "You killed a fisherman." And in Trump's world, telling the truth is treason. He's weaponizing military power for political revenge. He's using the Pentagon as his megaphone. And he's doing it with the same arrogance we've seen time and time again, from his praise of dictators to his threats against NATO allies to his attacks on the press. Remember when Trump said, "I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose any voters"? Now he's standing in the Caribbean and proving he meant it. They lied, they struck, they killed, and they thought no one would notice. But we did. We see the pattern, we see the danger, and we see what's at stake. Not just for Colombia, but for every democracy that dares to tell Trump no. This is why accountability matters. This is why Congress must investigate these strikes. Every order, every target, every casualty. Because this isn't foreign policy. It's personal vengeance dressed up as patriotism. Trump says he's protecting Americans, but ask yourself, who's next? When he calls journalists enemies, protesters terrorists, and allies traitors, how long before those labels become targets too? The truth is simple. Democracy cannot survive when the commander-in-chief treats human lives as expendable, allies as enemies, and truth as an inconvenience. So yes, Petro was right to call this out. And so should we. Because this isn't about Colombia versus America. It's about truth versus lies, law versus lawlessness, democracy versus dictatorship. Trump's war in the Caribbean isn't saving lives, it's destroying them. It's tearing apart alliances, spreading chaos, and testing how far a president can go before the world stops believing America stands for freedom. But here's the good news, we still have a choice. We still have a voice. And we still have the power to hold him accountable. Because history doesn't remember the bystanders, it remembers the people who stood up, who spoke out, and who said enough. This is that moment. Donald Trump wants the world to see his strength. Let's show him ours. Truth is our weapon. Democracy is our cause. And we will not back down. Not now, not ever. America deserves better. The world deserves better. And no matter how loud the lies get, the truth will always speak louder.